We are joined today by Paul Hogan, Portfolio Manager of the FAM Dividend Focus Fund. Paul, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Hello, it's great to talk with you.
So to start, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your role at Fenimore?
Absolutely. So I've been at Fenimore for 30 years, and I started as an analyst. I'm still an analyst, and I'm also a portfolio manager of one of our funds and our dividend strategy. So our dividend focus fund is just celebrating its 25th year anniversary. And one thing that is great is that it's so rare to see funds that have continuity of management for 25 years of the history of the fund. And we have that with this fund.
What do you see as the biggest misconception about investing held by investors?
Well, that's a great question. And there are really two items that I see all the time, over and over again. The first is that investors are too conservative. And we're all taught that being conservative is a very good thing. And what happens is investors, they're too conservative and they don't get the investment return that they really need to meet their long-term objectives. So that can be really damaging to a person's long-term financial future. The other thing I see is people will watch CNBC or some of the other financial channels, and the guests on there are always talking about whether it's a good time to invest or a bad time to invest. And it leads investors to try and think that they can time the market. Oh, I'm going to get out now because things look expensive, we're at an all-time high, or I'm going to get in now because I think things are really cheap. What happens is that investors never get the timing right. So it's really just easier to pick a fund or an investment advisor that you can stick with, that you have the temperament to weather up markets and down markets, and just stay the course. And that really pays dividends for investors over the long term.
What is the hardest lesson you've ever learned about investing?
I would say it's actually a very simple lesson, but it's very difficult to implement. And that is not to trim the winners in the portfolio. And there are companies like Ross Stores that we've held since 2001. And over the years, the investment would do really well, and we would trim it. And we would recycle the capital into some names that maybe were smaller in size or maybe not as highly valued as Ross Stores. And so since we've held that for so long, we can go back and look at this and say, wow, that has been a terrible mistake. Rather than trimming that position, we would have been much better off adding more shares to that position each and every year. And so that's a lesson that, experience teaches us over time. And so, like I said, it's very simple, but it's very difficult to implement. It's really going against the grain on our natural impulses. So that's one thing that we try and do, is not trim the compounders.
If you didn't work in financial services, what would be your profession and why?
That's a tough question. I never even thought about myself not being involved with investments. But I guess if I was not running a fund or handling my own investments, I would probably own a business, probably a technology business or an industrial type business. And that's really just because I love business. I love getting to know what makes a business tick and competing against other companies, figuring out the best strategy to go to market and how to compete. So that's probably what I would be doing.
What is the best advice you've ever received about investing?
Well, the best advice really came from John Templeton many years ago, and he would preach us over and over again. So, and his advice is as true today as it was back then. Number one, the advice is the best time to invest is when you have the money. And people always ask us that, should I invest now or should I not invest now? Should I wait? No, best time to invest is when you have the money. If you have the money now, put it into the market and start that long-term compound. The second piece of that Templeton would talk about is it's time in the market, not timing the market. And I just talked about how dangerous timing the market can be. The most important thing is that you make the investments, you have your money in the market compounding, and let that go for many, many years. If investors don't try and time the market, if they just put their money in the market and allow that to compound over time, I think they'll be very satisfied with the long-term results.
What is your favorite activity outside of investing?
Favorite activity outside of investing? That's an easy one. I'm an avid cyclist, so I enjoy road biking, mountain biking, even downhill biking with the full face helmet and all the body armor. I love it all.
Where is your favorite place to bike?
Well, I'm fortunate where we live. We have a lot of great trails and great roads, and our office here in Cobleskill has some great country roads, and it's uphill both ways, which is incredible. And then more recently, I've been able to get out to some fantastic places to ride. So for example, Moab in Utah and also Sedona in Arizona. Those are both two of my favorites.
What do you like most about working at Fenimore?
I think the best thing about working at Fenimore is the collaborative environment. All the research guys were able to put our heads together and figure out an investment problem. And I think beyond our research team, everybody here goes above and beyond for our investors. So I just think that's fantastic. I never have to worry that one of our investors is not being treated fairly.
What makes Fenimore different?
What makes Fenimore different? Well, a few things. First of all, it's the culture. All the people here get along really well, and everybody likes each other. That sounds like not a big deal, but it really is. It really, really is. And then second of all, everyone makes mistakes in the investment business. And so everyone on the team is very supportive. There's no yelling in this office. I think we're probably harder on ourselves when we make a mistake than other people would be on us. And you don't see other people on the team trying to kick somebody when they're down. If anything, we're trying to support and lift everybody up. And then finally, and this is the most important, is that time after time we see examples of people doing the right thing for the clients and going the extra mile for our clients, whether it's driving through a snowstorm to deliver a check to someone's home because they really needed it, to just meeting with people and being able to hold their hands and keep them invested through very difficult times in the market.
The Take 5 with Fenimore series is brought to you by Fenimore Asset Management. To learn more about Fenimore Asset Management and to view important disclosures, please visit us online at www.fenimoreasset.com.